This is Matthew Robert Payne. This video is called The Journey Inward. Okay. Now, just as I drank that cup of or mug of iced coffee, so too, you've got to drink the Holy Spirit. Just as I drank that cup of iced coffee, so too you've got to drink the Word of God. Just as that plane is going over my roof and landing in Sydney, Australia, so too the Holy Spirit's got to take a landing on your life. I woke up I went to sleep at about 1:30 a.m. this morning. Woke up at 9, 7.5 hours sleep. The Holy Spirit led me to write 14 subjects down to teach on. I'd only ever taught on 12 before, 2 hours worth in a sitting. He did 14, which is more than 2 hours. Then he told me to turn the page and write all the way to 30. Then he told me I was going to preach on all of them today. 30 times 10 minutes is 5 hours worth. That's a lot of teaching straight to the camera. 30 different topics in one day. This is number 21. Now, what's that got to do with the journey inward? Let me tell you something. The Holy Spirit up there has to come into your heart. When the Holy Spirit is residing in your heart, where your intuition and your heart and your love comes from, you've got to be able to tune your mind into your heart. You've got to go inward. You've got to start a process of looking inward. Now, rather than looking outward at books, outward at magazines, outward at the newspapers, outward at what people say, outward at what the pastor's saying, you've got to go inward and you've got to listen to what the Holy Spirit is birthing in your heart. You've got to listen. Now that's hard, because your mind is used to seeing a situation, processing the situation, and making a decision on what you're going to do. But your heart isn't trained in the things of God. Your heart operates in the flesh and the things of the flesh. The journey inward represents disobeying your mind. You've got to learn to disobey your mind. And when something comes up, you've got to journey inward to your heart and find out what love says about that situation. If someone's just abused your wife and told her she's lost her job, love says console your wife and don't go and smash that person, but forgive that person. Your mind says, I'm going to go and give him a piece of my mind. No one treats my wife like that. That's what your mind says. Love says, console your wife, forgive the person, and turn the other cheek. See how they're different? See how one's hard, one's easy? One's Jesus-like, one's human-like. One's natural, one's unnatural. The journey inward. the journey inward. In Jeremiah 17:9 it said, the heart is desperately wicked, who can tame it? But it says in Isaiah that God's going to take a heart of stone and replace it with a heart of flesh. Essentially, the Holy Spirit residing in a heart is a new heart, but you've got to make room for it. If you eat a lot of food and don't do a lot of exercise, you put on weight. Your body starts to make room for fat in your body. If I stood up, you'd see that I'm overweight. Everyone can see someone who's made room for fat. The more room they've made for fat, the more people notice them. And they get mocked and laughed at. Someone who's made a lot of room for the Holy Spirit is a powerful person. They still get mocked and laughed at. Benny Hinn, Todd Bentley, some of the biggest healers in the world, people still mock them and call them false prophets and false teachers and all sorts of mockery and laughed at. They get laughed at. But they've made a lot of room in their heart for the Holy Spirit. You need to make your decisions based on what your heart says. You know, the Holy Spirit told me something, Jesus told me something one time. If you ever want to move with the Holy Spirit, if you ever want to say things like the Holy Spirit would say, Jesus said, just speak the truth in love from your heart, Matthew, and the Holy Spirit will speak. In other words, it's not loving to tell a girl that she looks really fat in that dress. Right? You can tell the truth without love and really hurt a person. Though, if she asks you, "What do you like this dress?" you can say with a smile, "You know, darling, that dress isn't too flattering on you." And that's a lighter way. Many people speak the truth about a false teacher or a teacher who's in error, and they speak it with pride and arrogance, and they don't speak it in love, and it's totally un-God, and the Holy Spirit isn't in it. But when someone speaks with humility and love from their heart, the person who may be in error can receive it and change. Going inward is speaking out of love, out of the depths of love. Now, if you don't know how to love, you just need to find out what all the commandments of Jesus are and start to do it. The more you practice, the more you practice, the more you practice, the more you ask God to help you through the Holy Spirit to give you power to walk in love, to walk in the commandments of Jesus. Love will grow in you and expand your heart into a heart of love. When your heart's expanded, then you'll be able to move in love more effectively. You need to focus on your heart. You need to listen to the Holy Spirit. That is the journey inward.